Hey, Facebook Live, it's good to see you here today. I am hanging out at the co-working space this morning, and I figured since we had a little bit of time available that I would start masterminding you because there is a fun meeting happening, mastermind meeting. I always rent out a boardroom here at the Mill in Wilmington. You can see a little bit of cool, trendy ambiance behind me, and it's great. And as you're reading below, yeah, this is an encore presentation. You know why? Because I'm about to teach on the law of pain, and I almost skipped over it this week, but then I thought, hey, I've had so much pain this week that you can't skip over the law of pain. You're going to go even deeper. You're going to learn this law, Nathan. We're going to do this. So like it says right here, we're going to harvest the pain to harvest the gain. That's what we're going to do. And as a quick review here, there are just things that are constant about pain. I mean, there are three things that we know as an absolute fact about pain. One thing that we know about pain is that nobody likes pain. Nobody likes pain at all. We know nobody likes, unless you're like I keep forgetting the word, but the name of the person that likes pain, not a masochist. A masochist. Unless you're a masochist, you don't like pain. Or sometimes you try to psych yourself out and say, oh, this is great, this is really great, but it's really just painful. So nobody likes pain. Everybody has pain. And very few of us, because we're all trying to avoid pain, very few of us become intentional to lean into the pain without becoming a masochist, without like warping our minds. But there's a way in which we can actually lean into that pain. We can lean into it not because of the pain's sake, but because of the learning and the growth's sake. And we can come through it as better people. So that's what we're really doing here today. Now, in 1 week, in the Wilmington Public Library, let's go on a little tour. And those of you that aren't local, I'm going to point out where I'm going to be speaking next week. It's in the Wilmington Public Library. It is free. If you are local, what are you waiting for? Why don't you sign up? But here is Wilmington, Delaware. It's pretty much, if you could go diagonal that way, about 2 or 3 blocks. That's where I'm going to be giving a free workshop in conjunction with the library. And I'm going to be talking about something that I feel less qualified to talk about because of the pain that I had this week, my friends. Because I'm going to be attempting to talk about next week based out of the best-selling book called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. Everyone communicates, but few connect, okay? And this week was a painful week for me because I tried to communicate this week. And yeah, masochist, there you go. I'm seeing the comments, and I appreciate you, Joyce. I think you may have written these comments like 2 or 3 minutes ago. There's a big delay. And so one pain that I have this week is the pain of disconnecting, because I thought that I had been in the loop. I thought I was on top of some projects and some things, and turns out I wasn't. Turns out I missed some things, and man, I just absolutely hate, for me, the pain of being wrong. I hate the pain of dropping the ball. I hate the pain of going through an email trail and then finding somewhere where I missed something, and then it comes back on me, and the pain of possibly ramifications of that hitting other people. Now, I don't know, hopefully you can't relate to any of those things, but I can, and it's just not very cool. So that's painful. And really, one of my mentors, I got so painful this week that actually probably the last 10 days or so, that I actually called up a mentor and talked to one of my mentors on the phone. Yeah, the pain of being a perfectionist. Yeah, Joyce. Yeah, you got it. And the pain of being a perfectionist in recovery, and I'm still in recovery, and it just sucks. I mean, leadership sucks, and also just not being perfect, that sucks too. So I was on the phone with one of my mentors this week, and I knew I was really in a tough spot when he said, Nathan, the first thing that you need to do is give yourself permission to have grace and have a do-over. And basically I'm like, what? I deserve a do-over? I didn't think that I deserved a do-over. I didn't know that I got to, and you don't always get, depending on who you're working with and depending on what ball you dropped and the size of the ball and the price tag of the ball that you dropped, you may or may not get a do-over. But that was just so, I was just about crying on the line because it was just so helpful to me to hear someone who I respect so much, who's the CEO of several of another mentor of mine's enterprises, tell me, Nathan, you deserve grace, and the first person that you have to give grace to is you. So, I guess that kind of goes with being a recovering perfectionist, So that was really great to hear. I had to kind of blink extra fast to kind of keep my man card alive and not shed any tears. But that was really, really cool. So here is another pain, if you want to know if we're talking pain here today. It's the pain of having a really short haircut that if you don't remember to put product in your hair, you got this cool little millennial thing going on. And that's the kind of pain. Fortunately, at Rotary today, I'm swiveling around to get my phone. I didn't abandon you. But fortunately, today at the Rotary, people thought I was trying to be trendy and cool. And I basically had this big little spike in the middle, and they chalked that up to my cool millennial savviness, which I am the 42-year-old millennial, which means I have characteristics that I believe are more millennial. Even 20 years ago, before we had millennials, I was kind of living my life like a millennial, in my writing and in my, we didn't have a blog 20 years ago, but I used to print out journal entries and stick them on my dorm room outside wall, and then people would rip it down, and then I would accuse them of various types of insensitivities. And then, never really would land because I'm too privileged, I think, to be able to play that card very well. But it's like I like to skateboard and I like to wear 3 shades of the same color that doesn't match. Now that's okay to do, but 20 years ago they would yell at you, the millennial horn of honor. Yeah, that's Joyce. There you go. Now, I also had pain this week because if you didn't notice, you had a silent week on social media. Maybe not because of all the other crazy stuff that's going out there, but maybe because you didn't hear much from me. You know why you didn't hear much from me, my friends? You know why? You know why? You want to know why? Yeah, it's because of this. So this happened. And that was my front yard. That was my front yard, and now there's a 6-foot hole that has been packed in and caved in. Electric company came. I'm a first-time home buyer, so they just kind of. Cole and I were on a walk, and we're just driving back home to give my wife the car to be able to take it into work and everything else, and swapping cars and everything. And then I look, and the whole utility company is in my neighborhood. They're on my street. They're on my side of the street. And then they are in front of my home. And I had to use some of my upcoming talk that I'm doing next weekend about empathy. That is a very famous branded type of talk, which I'm not going to talk about that right now, but it actually was a blessing in disguise because I'm talking about empathy, and I had to use empathy to not completely freak out. But it was painful. It was painful because not only is there just big ugly spot on the lawn now because they need to come back next week, but cables were cut, and they were the cables of first world communication, if you know what I mean, and they're underground in my neighborhood because I live in an advantaged blessed neighborhood. I'm really, really blessed to be able to live where I live, and it's awesome, and I'm really, really grateful. And yet, the Wi-Fi cable connection is underground, and it went snip, snip, snip. Yeah, snip, snip, snip. So basically, I had a gag order really from the universe the last few days because my internet was cut, and it's really rough. It's really rough when you don't have internet and you've got a $150 a ticket event that you're promoting later this month, that you have a free event that you're promoting in a week, and that you have another event that you're prepping for that is going to be a really helpful piece to your career that you're trying to communicate, and that you have deadlines that you're dropping the ball on in other areas of your life, and it's rough. So anyway, I came up with a little meme generator. Isn't that great? Our Wi-Fi, thank you Verizon, is finally back. Yeah, so it took 2 whole days. And I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time focusing even when I have full internet and full use of an automobile and full everything that I need. I have a hard time focusing. And then when you yank any of those things from me, or all of them, it's like really, really hard to focus. So that's pain. And I'm in recovery, okay? I'm a recovering perfectionist, so I know that the answer isn't to just drive harder and be harder on myself. I know the answer is to kind of go easy, and that's probably why I have a whole set of probably a dozen puzzles that are completed in Mod Podge now, because when my brain goes on tilt, I just can't think, and I put puzzles together, and I listen to audiobooks on the next John Maxwell book that I'm giving a talk about at the library, and I listen to the audiobook of that, and I put my puzzles together, and I try to just be able to focus on something, and then I write on my to-do list things that really need to be done, and that keeps me from getting too stuck and too crazy. So anyway, those are a few of the pain list items that I have. And if you go to the law of pain in the 15 invaluable laws of growth that we are going through here at the Mill, if you go through that, you see that John Maxwell actually has a pain list. And so he talks about all the various things he's had to start over. He's had to completely rebrand himself on several occasions. He's had to become, instead of being a talker, he's had to become a listener. And I tell you what, I mean, those of us that, Eric and Dennis and Joyce and so many more people that have been on this live stream that are also colleagues of mine on the Maxwell team, they know that we're talking about really listening right now, because it just seems like the most fundamental elements of our society are starting to really break down right now. Even things like patriotism and all of a sudden that a lot of these things for Americans are being called into questions, or at least white Americans like myself. A lot of this stuff is getting called into question, and instead of lashing out or defending or whatever, a bunch of us are learning because our mentors are leading the way, and they're just coming to the table and they're listening. So I'm just here to learn. I'm here to grow. And the law of pain, which we have a whole lot of pain, especially in American culture, and it seems like every day there's some kind of tragedy that happens. So the law of pain, isn't that an interesting way to illustrate the law of pain when we think about it? I mean, it's like, as a society, I don't think Americans really listen to pain or change because of pain. I think we retaliate. I think we punch back. I think we do a lot of those things historically. And I think there are all kinds of examples in our leadership in America right now that of people that may retaliate, punch back, may not listen all that well. And I think the rest of us that are observing how that can come across don't want to be that way anymore. So what a great illustration of the law of pain for so many of us. So there are a few little steps that we can do. We know everybody has pain, nobody likes pain, and not everybody responds in a positive way to pain. Hey, Melanie, it's good to see you. I know you. My heart goes out for the pain that you had mentioned years ago. So good to see you here today. Hey, Ajit, it's good to see you. So here's 5 ways that we can turn our pain into gain. All right. So I'm going to just jump right to it. We're going to close up because mastermind group starts in a couple of minutes. I doubtless have people out there waiting. They haven't interrupted me. That's a great thing. And so the first thing that we're going to do about our pain is we're going to just decide to be in charge of the pain, to own the pain, and to make the pain work for us instead of us getting worked over by the pain. Okay? That's not even in the book. That was pretty good. We're going to choose to make the pain work for us instead of us being worked over by the pain. Okay? What does that mean? That means that I'm going to lean into the pain, and the pain is going to serve me. The pain is going to serve my destiny. The pain is going to serve my purposes and the goals of what my values are, and I'm not going to waste a perfectly good, painful moment to be able to grow and become a better person and just to learn. And in my case this week, the biggest pain was learning to forgive myself yet again for dropping the ball in various ways, which is just painful. Those of you that are recovering perfectionists like me, you don't like that. You really don't. So what's another thing we can do? We can embrace and develop creativity. Okay, we can embrace and develop our creativity. Now, I don't know if you feel like this, but for me, I'm a naturally creative person, but when the pain comes, and especially if the pain is the pain of letting others down, or dropping the ball, I don't feel very creative. I just want to be kind of an order taker. I don't want to have any creativity. I don't want to do any strategic thinking. I don't want to try to manage or lead anyone else. I just want to just be told what to do and just be a little cog in the wheel and keep my head down. Yet what my mentor says is that a key thing to do to be able to hijack the pain and do a little ninja move and make the pain cry uncle is to embrace and develop your creativity. And it's really hard because I think this is not just about pain, but it's about shame. Okay, and it's like they're twin brothers or something. You got pain over here and shame over here. And when you're under like shame and you feel like something is flawed and broken and just fundamentally wrong with you, you're not going to be able to be very creative. When you feel like something's wrong with you that you can't fix, that you can't get out of, that you can't ask for, forgiveness or a redo or something like that, you just feel like it's permanently busted, you're not going to be very creative. So I think we have to deal with the shame to be able to deal with the pain and then be able to get back to a creative, proactive sphere where we're really adding and multiplying value to other people. Here's the third thing we can do. We can embrace the value of the bad experience, okay? How can we do that? How can we embrace the value of the bad experience? The example from the book is JFK was asked, hey, how did you become a war hero? Well, it was easy. Somebody sunk my boat. I guess when you go out and two is, this is something that I really admire about JFK because he was way more privileged than I ever dreamed of being. Okay, I have a pretty high amount of privilege, but JFK, the Roosevelt family, the presidents, a lot of these folks came from even higher levels of privilege and just being independently wealthy and all of these things. So I just never could figure out why JFK went into combat. He could have easily gotten a pass. He could have been peeling potatoes, or he could have been done some kind of paper shuffling, because his father was really, really wealthy. His father at that time was an ambassador, and yet JFK goes into the war after his big brother was killed in World War II. He didn't need to go in the war, yet he was. And he got shot. He got not shot down. He got sunk, which is maybe even more terrifying than getting shot down. Same thing with George Bush, number 41, got shot down. His plane got shot down. And these are privileged people from really wealthy families that probably could have found an easy way to sidestep the war without looking like they were sidestepping the war. So, I mean, I applaud that. And yet the value of bad experience, getting shot down or getting your boat sunk, well, you are a bona fide war hero. Okay, that is, there's no way around that. Pretty huge. What's another thing that we can do? Number 4, we can change after learning from bad experiences. So we can take the bad experience and make a positive change. So what's your change, Nathan? Well, my change is I've got to kind of micromanage myself a little bit, and I've got to over communicate with other people. I've got to proactively communicate. I've got to stay objective. I've got to realize when I communicate about deadlines and things, I'm not throwing anybody else under the bus. If I have dependencies or things I'm waiting for, I got to proactively communicate multiple times and even escalate that, and it's not personal. And so I've got to make that change. I don't know why. I mean, I get stuck in my head. I think I identify with just getting, hounded on or micromanaged or whatever, and there's a way to do this that is above board, and I'm learning how to do that. So that's an example of my positive change. What is it going to be for you? Love to see it. I might see your comment like 18 minutes after you actually write it. I think there's a little bit of a delay, but I'd love for you to put yourself and your accountability out there in the world just like I just did. I'd love to see that. Number 5, take responsibility for your life. Take responsibility for your life. You got to take responsibility. Really, really important. So I'm going to take responsibility right now because we are here to start. I am going to just make sure that nobody is here. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to look. And I am going to have to shut things down to prepare and get everybody in here. So thanks everybody for taking some time to join me here today. I really appreciate you. And if you're local, if you're seeing the replay of this thing and you are local to Philly or Wilmington, Delaware, or even Baltimore, Maryland, come on in. Come on in. This is going to be appropriate, applicable, highly powerful stuff that you're not going to want to miss because we're here to grow through change. Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining me today.